This lesson is about magic sentences, how they are made and why they are useful. You'll get loads of marks for using this type of sentence, and I'm thankful for this lesson to some colleagues in a school in Liverpool called Coldstones who taught me this sentence. First thing is a magic sentence, not really a key term, it's a nickname for this type of sentence. Hopefully it'll make your writing magic and the name itself will help stick in your memory. Right, let's firstly try and figure out what makes a magic sentence. What are the ingredients? I'll give you a few minutes, pause the video, have a look at this sentence and think what makes it up. So if you pause the video there, then you should have noticed that yes, it's obviously made of letters, it's made of words, very good. But look more closely, you will see that there's a capital letter at the beginning, there's a full stop at the end, there is a comma, there is a colon, there are semicolons. These are all the ingredients that make a magic sentence. You'll get loads of marks for using this kind of sentence because you're using at least 3 types of punctuation. You're also writing a really long sentence, but it's still easy enough for the reader to understand. But that's not where the magic ends, as you'll find out shortly. Let's just pause there. Let's think why magic sentences are useful. They can get rid of boy bands. I hate boy bands. Here's one example is a case in point One Direction. You can get rid of boy bands like One Direction. Let me show you how. That sentence that we identified earlier. Although there are endless reasons why boy bands should be forced into the army, the main 3 ones are. They would hopefully be sent to a distant country beyond the reach of Louis Walsh. They would be placed in a dangerous situation where their safety could not be guaranteed. There are no recording studios in the army. So we've got 3 very good reasons why boy bands should be forced into the army and why this kind of sentence can help, hopefully, get rid of boy bands who don't really help us in the music world. Let's look at the ingredients of the magic sentence a bit more and think about what do they do in the sentence. Now that first piece of punctuation, the comma, helps separate out a subordinate clause from the main clause in the first part of the sentence. So this part in red here, it's a subordinate clause. You almost can get rid of that information there. A subordinate clause is extra information in a sentence. It is not necessary, it's the secondary part of the sentence. So this sentence is telling us the 3 reasons why boy bands should be forced into the army. The subordinate clause is just adding extra information saying, look, there's loads and loads of reasons. There are endless reasons why boy bands should be forced into the army. But our sentence focuses on 3, and it helps organise these 3 main reasons by using a list. Where does the list start? Here. The colon has other jobs. The piece of punctuation called the colon, circled here, can do other jobs, but here it starts the list. How do we separate items in our list? We use 2 semicolons. Looks like a colon, but it's got a comma-like dash or squiggle at the bottom. These separate the items in a list. Rather than writing things with a new line, you can carry on writing to the end of a sentence and show where one item in a list ends by using a semicolon. And of course, I've not labelled this. Our sentence ends with a full stop. So, capital letter to start off with, a subordinate clause made clearly defined by a comma, a colon to start a list, semicolons to separate items in a list, and a full stop. You'll get loads of marks for using these varied types of punctuation. It's also a long sentence, but the punctuation helps you read it carefully. It helps the reader to be clear about what you're trying to say. Right, let's have a quick pit stop plenary. Let's think about how magic sentences are made. After I've gone through the questions, you might want to pause and write down some quick answers to these questions. Question number 1. What is this piece of punctuation called, number 1? And what does it do in a magic sentence? Number 2. What is this piece of punctuation called? And what does it do in a magic sentence? Number 3. How many sentences are there in a magic sentence? Or rather, how many sentences is a magic sentence? And question number 4, what's the first part of a magic sentence called? Okay, have a think about those questions, write down some answers, pause the video here, and I'll give you the answers very shortly. Okay, the first answer is it's a semicolon, and they separate items in a list. Number 2, a colon, it starts the list. Trick question here, and I rephrased it because to make it grammatically make sense, a magic sentence is just one sentence. The colon doesn't end the sentence, a comma doesn't end the sentence. The full stop ends the sentence. It's in the name, the magic sentence. It's got many clauses, it's got many parts, but it's still one sentence. The first part of a magic sentence, it's a subordinate clause, a piece of information which is extra in the sentence. Hope you got 4 out of 4 there, and hopefully you've now mastered the knowledge, know-how about how magic sentences are made. Let's move on to why they're useful. This is where I think the magic sentence becomes really magic. Yes, you're going to use a comma, a colon, 2 semicolons, and a full stop in a magic sentence. Here is where the magic really happens. Got a picture of a book, have a picture of a contents page. Now you're not going to ever, hopefully, well, I hope you do write a book one day, but a magic sentence is going to be used in a piece of writing, most likely that's much shorter. Magic sentence, I like to think of it, is a bit like a contents page. A contents page is short, 1 page. It lists what is going to appear in the book. It helps organise the book for the reader. So you know that the first thing that's going to come up is, in this book, lifelong laugh lines. Then chapter number 2 is going to be about think tank, and so on and so forth. That contents page helps the reader to find pieces of information in a text, in a book, and it organises it. A magic sentence does exactly the same thing as a contents page. There's that magic sentence I used to gain. Now, if you imagined this was a full article, the paragraph that would be next would be about why boy bands would be, where they'd be sent in the army. Where would they be sent? Why would being sent far away be a good thing? How far away exactly would they be from Louis Walsh? So it developed that first point in the list straight after the semicolon. Paragraph 2, well, what do you think it would be on? Look for the second item in the list after the semicolon. Yep, it would go into more detail about the dangerous situations where boy band members would find themselves in, and why their safety could not be guaranteed. What kind of dangers may they face? Would it be trips and falls? Would it be, I don't know, would it be having to shout out loud and that's going to damage their vocal cords so they can't sing anymore? I don't know. Lastly, what do you think the final item would be in paragraph number 3? What would be developed there? Yep, that paragraph would be about why the army does not have recording studios and what the army does instead. What would boy bands be doing in the army rather than singing and making records and touring and making my life a misery by making awful music? Yes, there would be no recording studios in the army. That's where you develop your ideas there. So a magic sentence organises the next 3 paragraphs in your writing. So that's why a magic sentence is going to get you lots of marks. Complicated punctuation, a long sentence that is beautifully crafted, and it organises the next 3 paragraphs in your writing. If you're going to write a magic sentence, make sure it's got a subordinate clause, a colon to introduce your main points of your argument. There'll be 3. Semicolons separate those. Really important that each of your 3 arguments are separate or distinct. Otherwise, in each of those next 3 paragraphs that you write, you'll be repeating yourself, and that's not going to make your writing organised and clear. Right, let's think about a new example. One more example before I finish. Let's think about aliens visiting Earth. What would aliens... Let's give these aliens a motive. Aliens are coming to Earth and they're going to kill all humans. This alien here, very scary, is going to kill all humans because they think humans are not good on planet Earth. And they're going to make their point clear now by using a magic sentence. Let's read their magic sentence. Although there are many reasons why you humans should be destroyed, the main three are: you use too many resources, you hurt and kill animals, and kill other humans in wars and fights. So there you go, a magic sentence, very pithy, quite short for a magic sentence, which tells you why aliens would want to kill all humans on Earth. Look at the next three paragraphs, which are not complete. Firstly, you have used up all the world's oil and gas. So that's developing that first reason in the list. Secondly, hurting and killing animals. We've got in that second paragraph here. Secondly, so many animals have become extinct because of human interference, developing the argument with this idea of extinction and how human interference is damaging wildlife on Earth. And that last reason, thirdly, humans have killed millions of other humans in wars and fights, introducing a statistic there. And I'm sure that paragraph will go on to develop things in more detail. So we've gone through the main ingredients of a magic sentence, how to write one. You've had two examples here. Try and write your own.